Hello and welcome, everybody. This is our second Witcher discussion, and we're going to be going over the Sword of Destiny. Let's let everybody kind of introduce ourselves.
Yeah, if anyone's watched any of the Dresden discussions, they know who I am. Uh, I'm let's get the right direction. I don't know. We'll I'm J.R. Carroll's friend. I hop on here from time to time and just do stupid shit just like that.
Who's next? Am I next or is Bryce next?
You're next. You're good. Going around.
Joe Byrne, JCM author of Wistful Ascending.
There it is.
Put that in the frame. There it is. Book 1 of the Hybrid Helix. Book 4 is coming out September 12th. You should buy it or not. I don't know. Whatever.
No, you should. You should definitely buy it.
And I'm the moron who read the wrong book for this. So I'm gonna go on Wikipedia and try to quickly recap these stories. Because I can't keep track of what I'm supposed to be doing.
He didn't know which Witcher.
In my defense, I don't really have a defense. I don't have
a
particularly.
Hey, don't worry. This is like the third time I went through these, and I made little quick notes so I wouldn't forget stuff. So
you're always good at coming up with stuff to ask us, like, what about this point and this point? I'm like, does he write stuff down, or does he have like a photograph?
Sometimes.
What?
Not a lot with the Dresden stuff, just because
I don't know how you do that, because you'll come up with questions for like 2 hours, and I'm like, I would have stopped talking. And they're good stuff. I'm like, how do you remember to bring up these points like after reading the book, weeks or months ago?
You should see us, bouncing crap off of each other. We'll wiki walk like mad. We'll be talking about Renaissance paintings, and then 3 hours later we're talking about Klingons or something.
Okay, good to know. Renaissance Klingons. All right, I'm done. Bryce?
Hey, I'm Bryce from Shelf Centered. The only one I haven't read of the people here on this stream is Warlock, and I highly recommend both Joe's books, and Mr. Carroll's books. They're insanely good. I am. Let's see. I read the right book at least. I had to double check. Though I'm excited. I'm a little I've only played Witcher 3 a little bit, and so I'm I really haven't done a lot in the Witcher verse. But I'll talk about it sometimes on my channel. And what else was I going to say? I was going to say something else that was going to be hilarious. So feel free to laugh. It was great. No,
sorry. That was a great one. Oh my gosh. But Joe might have a different answer to this question because he's ahead of us now. But so how were you guys feeling coming into the second, because the second short story collection, because I know, Bryce, you were like, I don't know, man, I might get on here and be the one trashing the book or whatever, being the naysayer.
Right.
So and you seem to enjoy The Last Wish. So how were you feeling coming into?
Oh man, it was leaps and bounds. I think I said on my channel, I was in one of my just update videos, I was kind of hey, this is great. I'm glad that I reread, that you got me to reread The Last Wish. So I really appreciated that. And because I loved it the second time. And so now I'm hey, look, I mean, what does a fantasy reader want more than just more fantasy books to read? So it's just this is great. One more, again, very popular a series to be able to jump into and actually enjoy. And so I was actually very excited for it because of that. And that was the other thing is, and then you want people to talk about your silly hobbit habit. I can't even say that. Silly habit, man. No words will work today. No hobbits will be harmed in the making of this.
Not intelligent creatures. No, Geralt does not hunt intelligent races.
Exactly. Yeah, like dragons, speaking of. But yeah, so anyway, I was very excited. I still am, because it's just, and this one really, it did, having that experience with The Last Wish again, the second time, really made me appreciate it, because I thought The Last Wish, it's very clever, and maybe that was why I didn't like it the first time. I was not clever, and just some really cool twists. I like this short story way of kind of, especially after playing the game a little bit, where you're like, this could be a side quest.
That's kind of how it was, right?
Yeah. So it totally fits, and he just clearly and I mean the news that I don't know if you saw the news that Sapkowski he's working on another Witcher book.
Now, speaking of that, I'd heard the news, and then I know you and a few other people had touched on it. If it is a sequel, it is going to be one of the biggest book releases ever. Yeah. But if he does another prequel, it'll still be big, but it's just going to be like, okay, now there's some more side quests for us to,
Well, and I had a question for you. Because I kind of was like, it's got to be like, if it's a sequel, then he's like, okay, we still have more to go after that last book, and I don't want to spoil too much, but you've read it, right? You've read it all, and it's like, or it's like if it was a pretty well buttoned up, with a bow on it and cherry on top ending. Did you feel pretty good about it? And
you're asking me how I felt about the end of the Witcher series?
Do you think it's going to warrant a sequel, or is it more likely to be a prequel? I guess that's the main thing I'm asking.
That because Joe, have you read all the way through the Witcher series? No. Okay. So there's a big debate on what the actual ending means.
Oh, okay.
Well,
then
the big thing
open, it seems like.
The big thing with that, without getting into spoilers and whatnot, there is there's the ending of the final book in a lot of ways, if it follows what Andre originally wanted, makes it incompatible with the games. And the games are sequels to the books.
Yeah.
So one of the smartest things I think he could do would be canonizing those games. If he did that, he would solidify the fan base of those games, and they would just eat everything he writes up.
That's a good point.
Yeah. If he wanted to really light a fire under everybody, he could canonize the games and just write into the games. Just kind of weave the story that was in Witcher 3, especially, and just kind of weave his own full-length book into that.
As a writer, there's no way that's happening.
Yeah,
I wonder.
Never in a million years. Because this guy, I read enough about this guy that he thinks he's good at what he does.
That's the other flip side of the thing. He's either going to canonize those games, or he's going to decanonize them if he does a sequel. Well, there's no getting around either.
I would never do that. I would never change my creative vision to suit something, unless it was a Bollywood film. That's the one exception.
A Bollywood film?
Bollywood.
Well, they're over the top in everything they do.
The thing about the games is, and Andrei Sapkowski is, he got mad because he actually didn't think that that the game was going to be anything. He could have taken a royalty, but he took a flat fee.
He took the money up front,
and
he got real butt mad.
Because I've watched some interviews with him, and he doesn't think video games are a good medium. He's just he's just he's 76 years old or something. He's a
product of his generation.
So he's just video games, whatever, give me $1 million, and he could have had, if he took the percentage, he probably would have walked away with $50 million or more,
And let's be honest, the game people, the designers and whatnot, whatever, the owners, and they're not going to want to have any way to get him back into it. They're like, no.
Yeah, because I think he tried to sue them. I think he tried to sue them to get more money back. And I think CJ, because they stayed a lot more faithful to the books in the game than than the show did.
Absolutely.
And so they gave him more money. They were just like, we want to make you happy. We're not trying to be mean to you. We offered you, either
and they
way.
had him dead to rights. He signed a 9-year
They could have just said,
on it. They could have just said, piss off.
Yeah.
Well,
crazy.
it's marketing, right? If you can get endorsement from the author, that's worth something,
Yeah,
right?
but
Yeah.
but yeah,
I
like
mean-
jumping into the Sword of Destiny here. Like the first story is it's one of my favorite stories, and it's simply because I like dragons. You know, like if you like dragons, you know, shapeshifters, all that stuff. And the first time I ever read it, like I had no idea what was going on. Like you're kind of just coming into it just kind of blind, and for Joe, who read ahead here, Geralt meets this guy on, I don't know if he was, he was killing was it a basilisk in a cave, or a Kikimora, one of those two. He was like fighting something in a cave, and these guys, they thought and of course, like a lot of times in The Witcher, people, when he was in the cave, they're like, he's dead. Let's go steal all his stuff, and then this random, guy comes up and's like, yeah, you probably shouldn't steal people's property. And then of course Geralt comes out with the creature's head or whatever, and he's like, get away from my stuff. And then they go and they start drinking, and the guy's super rich apparently, which should have been the first like little thing. You're like, oh, this guy's got all kinds of money.
Almost like a dragon's hoard.
Yeah. And of course, in true Sapkowski fashion, he's got two hot babes that are like deadly killers that are his bodyguards. And that's why I think like George R.R. Martin and Sapkowski are kind of cut from the same cloth. It's like you gotta have super attractive women in some kind of sexual tension at all times, or it's just not one of their books. Like, I just read the third book in Game of in the Song of Ice and Fire, so it's like that's fresh in my mind too.
That's the whole generation. That's not those two guys.
Yeah,
that's all old white.
That's
all old dudes,
But like I loved once they kind of got out of the whole like, oh, we're just sitting at this bar drinking and eating and stuff on our face. And the way the guy has like 3 or 4 names. Like he calls them, but like one of the things he calls himself is like 3 jackdaws or jackdaws or but I love how like he starts like as they're just having fun, he slips in a serious question every so often with Geralt about like, oh, what are you doing down this way? It's like, oh, have you heard about the dragon? Oh, you kill dragons, right? You're a witcher. Why wouldn't you? And then we get to kind of see the whole morality. Bryce, and like, what did you think about like the morality of not killing intelligent creatures, thing?
Well, and that's it's kind of a theme throughout this book, right? The code, right? The code is, the Witcher code. You can that's like the backbone. And so I thought that was good. And I like that they have the code and they can kind of, rely on the code, and it can help them, make the decisions and stay as neutral as they can when they, because they're not like team whatever who's warring or whatever. Their team fight the bad monsters and whatnot. But I did like that. I like that. And I mean, who knows if they could be a shapeshifter and have other traits or whatever. I guess, are we spoiling or what?
Yeah, I mean, we're spoiling. Like if you're here,
Right. So like the dragon, is a shape-shifting person, right? And that's what you've been alluding to here. And I like that. And so, although I even listened to the audiobook and I still am like, Villatratenmirth? Is that how you?
Yeah, some of these names.
I'm like, oh yeah.
That's why 3 jackdaws. That's the easiest name that he gave.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Meant to be read, not spoken.
Yeah, exactly. I like that. And that's sometimes, in my like reader mind, I could just be like, I know that this length of word is that thing.
It's like Drizzt Dragon was not meant to be an audiobook. Right? If you see those letters, you instantly know, but you don't pronounce it in your head.
Oh man, which is why I'm amazed by like audiobook narrators, like where they can just be like rattle it off each time. And I'm like, good on you. But yeah, I like that morality, which is kind of, I don't know, it's indicative to like, I mean, that's you know, a lot of people kind of function that way, and but I think even any kind of morality like that it's going to have its errors, you know, its issues, and it's not going to be a perfect thing in every single situation. You're going to have some gray area and whatnot, but it seems like, especially Geralt of all people, likes to keep to kind of the black and whiteness of it as much.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, it's really funny too, because he's a black and white character living in an entirely gray world. And I mean, and it's been a theme from the first book. I mean, there was that, you know, art legendary quote from his, basically saying, "Evil is evil, lesser, greater, and middling makes no difference. The degree is arbitrary, the definition's blurred. If I'm to choose between one evil or another, I'd rather not choose at all." I had to read that because I'm not going to remember that. But that, I mean, that's his character. You know, from The Last Wish all the way through hell. I mean, you could say all the way through The Witcher 3.
But even learns in that one, like there is like even like the lesser evil. Sometimes you have to choose that.
Well, just like in the Last Wish, where Shrike, where he was like, I don't want to have to choose between you and and this wizard. You guys just leave each other alone. And that is the theme. That is one of the major themes through the entire series. It's Geralt trying to stay in his code and thinks that if and of course, like a lot of people, like if everybody just thought the way I thought, we could all just get along. He's like, he goes, but almost nobody thinks the way he thinks. It's always like everyone's trying to push him one way or push him in the other way, and he's just like, with this where they go to fight the dragon, and there's like everybody, you have the dwarves are there, the marauders are there, all these different groups that are going to, this prince was trying to, prove that he's a man or whatever, and Geralt's clearly the best warrior there, and he doesn't want anything to do with it. He only kind of goes all the way there because Yen is there, and that's a whole nother, that's a theme through this book is, I'm every situation I get into, everywhere I go, it's because of Yen. It's because of Yen. Like
don't call her Yen. Well, in the first
Yennefer.
They have an incredibly codependent relationship. It's so unbelievably unhealthy.
Yeah, that's the Sword of Destiny right there. I just did like my little review of it, and I kind of posted in the Witcher Reddit forums, and everyone's talking about like the Shard of Ice and how it shows that like Yennefer is not ready, like she is still like they're kind of toxic for each other at this point, but they can't help themselves.
Well, they're bound by a damn wish. They're screwed.
Well, the question that's the big question for the whole series is like, is that really what's keeping them together, or is it like a placebo effect? Is there actually any effect on it?
I feel like there's a whole bunch of these. There's like the stories that are just like the author just telling us, the monsters aren't really monsters. The people are the real monsters. And it's like we saw like several stories in The Last Wish that did this, and now we're getting more of it. It's like okay, you're laying these like bricks for the and like what is this story giving us that will help us like with the novel series, because he's written them after. Like is it filler? Is it filler, or is it helping us understand something?
The Sword of Destiny and something more does, and this book is the book that made me mad at the series, at the show, because the show should have started at the short story Sword of Destiny, when he meets Ciri in Brokilon Forest when she's 6 years old, not when she's 13 years old, in the show.
I mean, that's one of those things where, I mean, it's really hard to make, a full-grown woman look 6. You can make her, if she looks relatively young,
look just done a
13,
flashback.
14.
It's not hard.
I'm
not
just
hard.
saying. I'm just saying. That one right there, I'll give them a pass for. They have screwed up way more things that they just have no justifiable reason screwing up.
But I loved the way.
You don't want to hint at sexual tension between a guy with gray hair and a character you've seen on screen as a 6-year-old. That is extra creepy. But they want that like hint at that between the show wanted a hint of that, like a love triangle between him and Siri.
I didn't like that at all. That was never in the books.
But if you want that, you can't portray her as a 6-year-old.
Yeah,
that right there's an unforgivable thing right there. They should have never done that.
I agree.
In the books, it's more the tension is more like she feels like Geralt is her father.
That's what I was going to say.
Exactly.
Jennifer is trying to take her father away, not her wannabe boyfriend away. Like,
and I just re-listened to the Ricky Gervais, monologue thing. So, Hollywood.
Oh my god! But like, yeah, I love the story of, Geralt going into Brokilon Forest and finding Ciri, and then the guy who was the knight that was supposed to be protecting her, and then and then you get to learn through this. Oh, this will help because you get to learn about Brokilon Forest and what's happening. Because I don't know if in the book, you read or not, like the people are trying to like invade, like that king wants to take over Brokilon Forest. Yeah. That's a big thing throughout the whole thing.
That's the Nilfgaards, isn't it?
No, that's the
it's series.
Oh, the Sintras, right?
No, it's the adjacent kingdom right beside Sintra. Whoever
you make me have to remember every single kingdom in the
damn Witcher. Well, they even say he's not a really big king. It's not like a.
Is it the Radovid's kingdom?
See, I should have wrote that. I should have wrote the name of the guy down.
I'm trying to remember who these jackasses going in and fucking with the dryads because
mess
with those people.
Yeah, but like at the end of that story, like she's even saying like, the head of the dryads, she's basically like, I can't give them anything. I can't because if I give them one section. And it's kind of like, I don't know if Sapkowski, I'm sure this happens all over the world, not just here in the United States, but like
with Native Americans,
how we kind of push the Native Americans into reservations, reservations, and
or Russia.
Yeah, so that's kind of how he was saying. She was like, well, if I give them this section, they're going to come in, then they're going to want the wood. Then they're going to want the gold that's under here. Then they're going to want the coal, and they're going to push us into a little corner and say, "Oh, this is your corner. You're okay." And she's like, "We'll fight them." And basically, now you know why nobody wants to. If you go within 100 yards of Brokilon Forest, you're catching an arrow in the neck. And that kind of rides through most of the book series. And
it was such a good like the ending then too with the surprise, right? The law of the surprise.
Yeah.
And it was
it ties back into fate.
Yeah, and you saw it coming, they're kind of, but I still loved, like, it still felt like, whoa, that was a good setup and a good payoff. That if the show's not going there, it's like, come on, you missed a huge opportunity there.
Yeah,
it was such like a good oh man, Destiny. Oh, Destiny.
It was infinitely better than what we got in the show. I mean, what was it? She pisses off, screams, makes a cavern or something, and then ends up at a farm. And he runs into her on the farm, and he's like, man,
that's at the end of something more. Yeah.
Are there maps? Are there official maps for this?
The geography,
or do the game maps map onto?
I'm not really going to give a spoiler, but in the next book they talk a lot about the strategic implications of the Dryad Forest, the fact that armies can't get through there has a huge impact on how important Sintra is.
Do they have maps?
Do we have that?
Do we have maps?
Where did you get that?
That is amazing.
Yeah, so
that is amazing.
So yeah, most of it you have Sintra right up in here,
Yeah,
And then
Nilfgaard underneath them.
Yeah, Nilfgaard is coming up from the south.
Where's Brokalon?
And Brokalon Forest, I believe it's right in here.
That makes sense.
Right. So Sintra is key because Brokalon Forest is uncrossable.
Yeah, because Nilfgaard has to come across the coast, up through Nazir and everything to get
that river, that Yoruga. It's right below Sintra, right above it.
Yeah. See, actually, Brokalon is right here. Brokalon is just north. So, because it says in there that they took out Sintra, right? So to get to Temeria, which is the biggest, where I think Temeria is where Novigrad is, right?
Yeah, it sounds right.
So yeah, they have to go through Brokalon to get to Temeria, which is the biggest city in the north. So and you got Verdun, Rivia.
Where's Redania?
Redania is above Temeria. And then Caermoran's up in here, I think, up in the north.
In the mountains.
But yeah, I mean, there's so much like geography that he puts into these books. So yeah, I don't know.
Talk about the different realms and stuff that they can go to.
Well, and then everybody can make money because they can make maps and different stuff like that that everybody wants to buy. But I know a lot of people and then again on the forums, a lot of people were talking about a Shard of Ice and how they really liked the Shard of Ice because you got to see, Yen and him. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, but you got to see Geralt and her kind of at the beginning. They're all happy and and my wife loves the whole unicorn, right? The whole breaking of the unicorn sex and whatever. Of course, we don't get to see that in here, which is that might have been a little too much. But but I wasn't I like the beginning of it. I like the setup of where they're kind of settled down a little bit. I guess they've been going from town to town, and in the Shard of Ice, they actually mentioned the Wild Hunt, which was pretty cool. He goes because somebody was talking about it, and she's like, oh yeah, people say that winter or some winter queen or something comes through, and Geralt's like, no, that's the Wild Hunt. It's true, and I've seen it before. And they even said, I think he said that that the Wild Hunt tried to get him to join it or something like that. I think I don't try to pull a Thomas in the Dresden Files or whatever.
I want a Dresden crossover is all.
Yeah. Well, Geralt crossed over with Monster Hunter's video game, so I'm like,
there you go.
It can happen.
I doubt that stuff.
I'm sure Jim would be down for that.
Yeah,
Jim's cool with everything, so
right.
Yeah.
Jim would make Harry in City of Heroes, and apparently he did it 2 or 3 times, and they kept removing it due to copyrights, and hey, you can't do that. And he had to send him a letter or something saying, I own this. It's my copyright.
Oh my gosh. But once they started going into the love triangle, it lost me. I was just I
don't watch trash.
Although the one thing I did like is Geralt pulled a very much I can see myself in this situation where he's talking to the wizard and the wizard's trying to talk down to him, acting as though he thinks Geralt's stupid, and then out of nowhere Geralt starts talking over him with $10 words and stuff, and the guy's like, so you have read a book. It's
and then Geralt does the he kind of I don't know. He went too far, right? And he's just well, she was in my bed this morning.
That one, you're oh no.
Oh, you want to go there? And it was oh, that was rough.
Yeah, where he's she came out of my bed this morning.
Yeah,
and I'm oh, in the heart.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it was you, Joe, on the last one, but somebody was saying something about how they didn't like that a big part of Yen is her trying whatever she can to have a child. Was that?
I'm
Yeah.
on that
Oh,
ship. 100% I'm on that ship.
Yeah, because that's a theme here too. That's the reason.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason she was with that wizard guy, is because she thinks that he might know something or be able to do something in that aspect. And and I was kind of like, yeah, that's a little like, come on now, like,
It feels like, I don't know, she doesn't give off like motherly vibes, if that makes sense. Like, she's not like that she really like cares about like being a mother, but also her character is all about that's all she cares about. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah,
she's more of the cool.
She's not adopting a kid.
yeah. So that's where I've never like felt like it really even meshed.
If
Like,
she's like running an orphanage somewhere and taking care of all these kids, like, I really want my own. I'm like, sure, I'll buy that.
exactly.
Like,
Yeah,
no,
but
she's like cold-hearted bitch, but I want a baby.
yeah, that's where it was just like, it never, like, she doesn't care about that.
Yeah.
I never get that once.
All right, so knowing her
good.
personality and everything throughout the books and the games and whatnot, really, I think it really falls down to she can't, and she doesn't like not being able to.
Okay, that makes more sense.
She feels like something was taken from her, and she wants to be whole.
She'll be damned if someone's going to take.
You're not
going to
tell me I can't do something, so I'm going to fix myself.
That makes more sense. That does work.
Yeah, that to me feels more like it's less of a there's something in her heart that she really wants to have.
That's not her.
It's more like I don't tell me I can't do something. I'm gonna go fix myself.
She wants a spiteful pregnancy.
Yeah, kind of.
I appreciate that. That perspective really clarifies it a lot for me, though. That like totally makes sense now.
Right. It's like
it's going like these two things just don't they're not compatible. But now that's exactly her. Is just like, no. I'm gonna be able to do anything I want. And what if I wanted to do that? I want to be able to do it.
I think it's sold too much as like, well, she's a woman. Of course, nothing means more to her than having her own movie.
It is.
I'm like, I'm so tired of that trope.
Yeah,
but I think that's and I don't know if he did this on purpose, because I don't know exactly time. Like, we know publication date, but I don't know when he came up with these stories and stuff. I feel like as the stories go on, and they sort of like it. I haven't watched the whole third season, but I feel like that's the direction they were going in the third season, is kind of having her accept that she can't have children, and then that's how she kind of comes to adopt Siri.
It's not really a thing here. Like, she's more or less over it.
Yeah. So I knew at some point it kind of gets to that point, and where her and Geralt kind of come together, and they're like, this is our child, like, because he's sterile too, and they say that again in this book. He's like, well, I went through the trial of the grasses, and this is what it did to me, so I can't have a kid either.
Magical vasectomy.
I mean, I'd do it.
We just keep hitting you in like the junk over and over again. Is that what the trials are?
I would not do that.
Well,
I changed my mind. Can I change my mind?
There's a vast difference between men and women.
I love how they keep sneaking little bits and pieces about the trials of the grasses in these short stories, where like you start figuring out what they actually did to these kids, and it's like. And then I think it's a side quest or a DLC that you get in the game where you figure out what they actually did to the kids, where you find like it's a cave outside of Kaer Morhen or something, and you're like, holy crap! Like, they basically like bound these kids and like shoved like these chemicals down their throats, and because the Queen Calanthe, she was like, I did some research about you Witchers. And how many actually survive? 1 in 8, 1 in 10, if that. And it's like, dang, like
accurate.
I feel like this is a thing that I've seen elsewhere. I'm trying to figure out if The Witcher was one of the first or the first place where I've seen it. This notion of these like semi superheroic characters, like transformed by elixirs and magics. Only some survive, and they're like, I don't.
Yeah, that's definitely become a trope, and that's the hard thing about The Witcher, because it's old enough to be old, but not super old, right?
Right,
It's
but
like,
old enough, I don't know that I've seen it before this.
But it was
yeah, and that's the
coming
thing.
out with,
I
like,
think this might have been the origin of that trope, 1990, 92, something
and
like
you
that.
also think like it's like, I mean, it even goes back to, I mean, not the magic part, but like the Spartans had like a crazy like some
Trials and stuff.
They had trials even as kids, and I mean, and I'm sure that's even gone to like, only so many survived, which I don't know. I can't guarantee what.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason that they use the Spartan life to describe grueling, painful training and things like that. It's like you get born, if you got an extra finger, or like you're slow on the uptake, thrown over a cliff, and the ones that don't get yeeted, they get trained up and learn all these different techniques and stuff, spear training, and then when they hit like 11, they're like, okay, no more mom for you. Go out there and kill a wolf.
Yeah, that's basically how it was. It's like, yeah, once you turned 11, I think, yeah, they're like, yep, you we'll take the boys from here, ladies. And it's like, oh crap.
It kept their population up because the moms were like, empty nesting and stuff, so they just made another. They got like 4 or 5, and then then they retired.
Oh, but one of also like, now, like, again, the mermaid thing was fun. I don't think it really shows anything. I mean, it's kind of it rolls around with a theme of when they get to that low tide area, and there's the sea creatures or sea civilization that's kind of under there, and the mermaid tells him, don't ever come back, and then at the end they hint that the king might start sending people down there to collect the pearls that are down there. So there's going to be at some point there might be a war between the sea creatures and the people on the land. The only thing that really sticks to me about that story is the end, where they talk about, like, they do that, like, he kind of says it in passing, but which makes it even more impactful, where he's like, oh yeah, little did they know, little did they know that that would be the last time he saw Little Eye, and no one would have thought. What was it? He was singing a song, and he said, oh, this is a more verbose song.
Yeah.
If I would have sung the real song, you would have figured out that she died from smallpox 2 years later. And that's like, God dang.
Yeah,
like,
I
thought you would have done something with this. Maybe like he's just like, no, I don't believe in love triangles. This is out.
Yeah. We gotta kill off the other woman in Geralt's life before.
Yeah, you can't let him have a happy ending ever, or even a possibility.
Yeah, no.
Like, I mean, I wouldn't want Geralt to be all Troy McLaurin up on the fish lady and stuff.
Well, no, that was Dandelion's apprentice or whatever.
Like I said, I barely remember anything about that damn short story.
Yeah, I thought it was good to like introduce like where the Witcher kind of has it turned on him, like his relationship with Yennefer turned on him, right? Where it's kind of like, oh, somebody could be in love with me. Like, what do I feel about it? Do I?
Yeah, that was the whole thing.
Do I not reciprocate it? Do I, what do I feel about that? And it's like, it could be nice. Like, he kind of is like, I could see stringing somebody along. So I don't know. I just felt like he kind of was understanding that relationship a little better between him and Yennefer. Mostly, I got.
The one thing that, like, and you don't see this a lot, and I guess it could be the times. I don't know, but and a lot of, like, anybody who had anything negative to say about, like, Dresden would really hate this part, where it's like it's towards the end of the story, and it's like, and he's like, well, Geralt's been kind of pushing her away, like, no, I know you like me, but I don't I got Yennefer's in the back of my mind, and then like Dandelion's like basically like, just do it, like like it's okay, it'll be good for you and good for her. Who cares, you know? And then
it's nobody gets to know about it.
Yeah, and then it was just like and then it's like, and they did, and you know, it was like they didn't show you anything, but it was like, and they did, and,
Yeah, right.
and I was just like, okay,
And
they did it.
like, go over there and catch yourself some strange, and then the next sentence is the strange was caught.
And even Dandelion is like almost not quite like, but almost a father figure to little, you know, like at least like
Yeah, that was like
he really likes her enough to like want to give her a present, right, for her birthday and all this.
Yeah, he remembered her birthday.
He, like, likes her that much at least, and he's still just like, yeah, whatever. Yeah,
it'll be good for you and good for him and good for everybody. Just but the thing is, at that point, they already knew that they weren't going to be together. Yeah. They had already like, this is just going to be a thing that we're going to be together for a few weeks, and then they're like, okay, we'll do it. Yeah, like, and I was just like, oh, Sapkowski, I love you, man. Like, it's just of course.
I mean, you don't have to take birth control, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, never talking.
Clouds have silver linings, you know.
But like one I really liked in this, and this kind of comes back to the like our humans, like the bad people, is the eternal flame, right? With the doppelgangers. Dudu, yeah. And I think Dudu makes an appearance in the game too, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays a big role in 3.
Yeah. So, but I just loved it because it's a funny like the whole story is just funny, and the guy Geralt's hanging out with Beavervelt because apparently he kind of like Geralt travels all the time, so he just knows random people, and he's just having a drink with them, and then Beavervelt walks in the door and is like, he's sitting with Beavervelt. There's Beavervelt, and that one's all like got horse crap all over him, and he's like disheveled and stuff, and he's like, you horsing. Yeah. And then the whole thing about it is like, this guy is mad at the creature that's impersonated him, but this creature has behind the scenes like stole his horses, sold his horses, and like knows, like it's all about insider trading. The whole thing is insider trading. Like he knows, oh, fish oil is going down over here. There's a blockade over here. So he goes from making like what he had $186 he made off of the horses, and then by the end of it, he's got like 30 grand or whatever.
And we're talking crowns here. We're not talking dollars. That's like a massive hoard.
Yeah, he said
rich.
Dandelion's like, you could buy a castle or a whole town if you wanted. Like, and the whole and then the one thing that does stick is because that's the first time that we're ever in Novigrad, so we kind of get to see what like life is like in Novigrad, and Geralt is talking about how his Witcher medallion is just always humming because half the people have magical locks on their doors, and there's all sorts of little magic here and there throughout the entire city, and then you got and then you got I don't know what they call. I don't know if they're called like it's some kind of religion, right? With the eternal flame or something like that, and how
crazy ass religious people want to kill all the damn.
And though there's magic throughout the entire city, they don't like sorcerers in the city. I think it's like, if I remember the way they worded it, like, and the head of the eternal flame or whatever it was like. He's like, there's no such thing as doppelgangers or whatever. He goes, there's none in this city, I'll tell you that much, because we take care of it. And then, of course, the way life is, the harder somebody pushes, the more you're like, why are you pushing so hard about this? And then at the end, it's like, oh yeah, that dude, the guy who was the head died, and this other doppelganger just took over. And I was like, I thought that was so cool. And I'm not sure if I don't remember so much in the books or not, if that has anything to do with the books. I know it has stuff to do with the game. But I mean, Sapkowski puts so much little stuff in here that you're just like, I don't know if he ever pays off on all of it, and then the game just like, well, he didn't pay off on that in the books. We'll just use it, you know. But
which is pretty cool. I think that's a cool way to like write and to constantly have those like mysteries. Because I was just constantly impressed the whole time reading. I will say I agree that I kind of felt like when I had to relook at like some synopses of the first couple stories, I was like, oh, that was a little forgettable for me. But now that I'm going through, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I remember some things. But like, I was just impressed the whole way through, though, that he's a very clever author, and I think as Joe was saying, like he does think well of himself, and I think it's well warranted. Because I think these really pack a punch, and and that was the difference between me as a reader, reading Last Wish in the first time, and now seeing like, oh, he's like really clever and really throwing in those things that you kind of have to be paying attention to catch.
But he's doing stuff. He reminds me of someone who plays D&D and like starts thinking about, well, dragons have polymorph self. They could really use that and do stuff. I could bet I could turn that into a pretty cool story, and he does. And so, like a lot of these stories, I feel like they're not really progressing this like they're him going, oh, this would be a cool story, and I'm going to write it, and I'm going to put it out there, and someone will buy it, right? As opposed 100%. To progressing a narrative. These aren't all contributing to the story of The Witcher, right? Like a lot of these, I read the next book and I didn't care at all that I missed these. Like it wasn't any place where I was like, wait, what happened here? Why is this going? No, I never happened. Because these are more like cool like elements. It's almost like bonuses for readers rather than, a part of one big story. It's always a thing writers have to deal with, like, how much of what you write is part of the overarching story and how much of like are like side things that are just like bonuses for your, like, here's a fun other story about these characters. It doesn't progress the major story at all, but if you like them, you'll enjoy this.
Yeah.
Out there. And that's what these feel like to a large extent. Not all of them, but a lot of them.
I would probably say, honestly, like all of them except for the last two stories are probably fall into that category of where it's like just cool stuff that if you're a fan of The Witcher, you're gonna like it, but not necessarily like, oh, these really play a role. And again,
and it's some characterization too, some characterization for sure. Yeah.
Right. Well, and I really think like I was super impressed with his writing, like the prose and all that. Through this book, I think was even better than The Last Wish.
I wish I spoke Polish.
Huh?
I wish I knew Polish, right? Because
me too.
It's great. It's the translation.
Yeah,
I think the original is probably great.
Yeah,
I don't think the translator is going to be that much better than the original, but I also like it's hard to say for sure because I should ask
every time I talk to somebody who knows Polish or whatever, they're like, oh man, you should have read it in the original. You should have read. I'm like, I wish I could.
Yeah.
My mom doesn't read fantasy anymore. She used to, but she kind of cut back. So I don't know if I can get her to read these.
But, you're like, just one book. Let me know.
One book, Mom. Tell me if it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I wish I knew. I knew Polish and I could. Because I hear that all the time about like, man, like. Most people say it's good. It's a good translation, but like there's some words that don't flow over. So it's smoother if you read it in its original, But I hear that all the time with a lot of books, like especially like there's a lot of like Indian books that are getting translated now, and people are like, well, some of it just doesn't translate. It just doesn't it doesn't work.
I speak German, and I got into an argument with a German. And he was like, the donkey in Shrek is better than the donkey in German is better than the donkey in English. And I'm like, it's Eddie Murphy, first of all. Second of all, the German person doing the donkey is trying to be Eddie Murphy. Like they're attempting to make it Eddie. Like I'm going, because I understand at least both. And I'm going, no. That's Eddie Murphy. Like, no. You can't be better. It's not bad.
You're parodying Eddie Murphy.
He's trying to be exactly. He was like clearly, and it's like clearly trying to be the Eddie Murphy like original donkey. Anyway, so I feel that.
I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. The nice thing about the short stories is it really lends Sapkowski to do his little. He really likes to do, clever twists on established stories. Like The Last Wish is just full of that crap. Like
Snow White
and the Seven Dwarfs, Beauty and the Beast. That one's in
Mermaid.
there. Little Mermaid. Yeah. So like basically he's like, here's all this Disney shit, but it's better.
Give a little twist.
Just a clever twist here and there.
Yeah.
Oh man,
he's a good short story writer and I guess a good novelist. That's an unusual combo. That's tricky.
Well, I guess
people that can do that. I mean, I do know, but not that. George R. R. Martin can do that.
Well, I was just going to ask you. I was like, so, and I don't know if we'll do it next month, depending on scheduling or whatever. But like, so you like the first full novel then?
Yeah, I don't think I'm giving anything away. It's in like chunks. So like, there's like three big chunks. It's like 3 novellas strung together almost. But I thought it was quite good if you read it as part of an epic fantasy series. Like it doesn't have a satisfying ending, but it never does, right? Like none of that. Like that's how epic fantasy is, right? Like,
yeah.
Dresden is weird, right? Like Dresden is this long series of standalones.
Yeah.
But most epic fantasy, like you read the first one, you're like, okay, nothing got wrapped up there.
Yeah.
But nothing ended. The book ended, but that's it. So it's very
it's like 100% clearly. There's another book kind of like there's no way to not have another book.
No, you wouldn't want that. But the chunks that were like longer felt good. Like it's definitely writing longer pieces. Then they flowed really nicely and they were paced nicely for the most part. I mean, you'll have to see. There are parts that I felt dragged. You might your opinion might differ, but I liked it. I liked it quite a lot. I mean, I was very happy to read it and continue. Now I got to go back and read Sword of Destiny.
But yeah, so and that's and that's the thing. It's like I reading the something more. The ending to that is like so like especially if you knew that there was going to be another book. Like I don't know how they set these up, but if they were like, oh yeah, wait for the full novel's coming out next year, it's like that would be a great place where they ended it because Ciri is at a farm or something, and Geralt, Sintra has apparently they actually didn't see the actual battle or anything, but he's like Sintra has fallen, and he's like, all right, I got to go get. He's ready to run to go save Ciri or whatever, and they're like, and Dandelion's like, everybody's dead. They killed everybody. Like her grandmother is like jumped off the freaking.
Calanthe is somebody from the previous book. Yeah, they're killing off named people. These aren't just the unnamed dregs.
Which is why he doesn't even have to go there, right? He's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and then he's thinking, he's like, man, like Geralt just sits down and he's like, there's nothing for me here, and so he's like, all right, Dandelion, let's go.
Yeah.
And and then they just happen to be, they happen to be riding past that farm, and he what I'm trying to think, he helped. Yeah, it was a merchant, right? He helped the merchant because his will was stuck. Oh, another great thing. I almost forgot. He meets his mother in that story.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and that's another thing because he's always hinted that he is something like he's the best Witcher. He's not just a Witcher like like they did extra stuff to him, right? Because not all Witchers have his eyes or whatever. They just kept doing stuff to him because they're like,
took very well to the trial, so they gave him more.
And that's why he has white hair. Like none of the other Witchers have white hair because they kept going and just all his hair went white.
On top of all of that, his mother is a sorceress.
That's the thing. Yeah, we figure out like because he got hurt saving that merchant. And he's like in a fever dream or whatever.
I was gonna say, and it's all told through the fever dream.
Yeah, the fever dream. And then like he's getting patched up, and this sorceress was like helping him, and she didn't want him to see his face. Like he was rolled over or something, and he's like, and he starts like kind of knowing like, and he's like grabs her hand and like turns and like. And then it's like a big kind of like emotional moment where it's very passive aggressive the way he was talking to her. Kind of like, oh, of course, if somebody wouldn't have left someone with the Witchers and put them through and put somebody through the trial of the grasses. I'm like, all right, you're talking to her, just talk to her, Geralt. Like you're being very passive aggressive at her. You know?
I like how it like sets it up, like because at first I was like, are all these just like in his imagination? Is this real?
Yeah, is it just a dream?
And then it would like follow up with like oh yeah, you had that one person that was in here to help save you, and then she bounced, and and I was like, oh, so that did happen. Okay, thank you. I wanted clarification here.
Yeah, because you were and I mean, of course, he did that on purpose, where he's like, is it just a part of the fever dream? Is it real? But I just kind of love and hate how she did it at the end, where he's like, and you've seen it coming once he started talking. It was like, he's like, we're gonna talk more about this in the morning. I'm not letting you off the hook, basically, is what he's saying. And then she's just basically like, basically pulled the old sleep. Like, you won't remember me. Like she says something to that effect. Yeah, she says something to that effect, like, no, you won't remember this. And then I'm just like, oh, come on, But of course, Geralt. You have to make sure Geralt's not happy. He can't have closure, especially not this soon.
Never. I'm sorry to do this. I got to bounce myself. Speaking of bouncing, that was good timing. Transition, but I can't thank you enough. I'm sorry to interrupt you here.
Oh no, I think we've ran through all the stories. But yeah, so we can kind of close it down here. Thank everybody for watching and coming on. And Bryce, if you want to tell people real quick what you got going on and where they can find you real quick.
Oh man, nothing much going on. Not like these guys. Like they actually produce like real things in the world for make the world better and entertain people and have good stories and stuff. I just like talk about it on Shelf Centered at YouTube, and so that's all I do. I'm like just a reviewer or a list maker of top 10s for fantasy, sci-fi, sometimes horror, and
very good at it too.
Don't find us.
Yeah, I'm like Wistful Sending, More Than a Gunslinger. Those are things that you guys want to check out because those are awesome. And congratulations too to 2,000 subs. I was like, that's so cool. So anyway, So anyway, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
Great talking to you, Bryce.
Yeah, good. Exactly. Great to meet you. Exactly.
Likewise.
And
what do you got going on, Joe? I know you said you got a release coming up here in a few weeks, right?
Shadow of Hyperion. I don't have a copy. And my other book is coming. I don't know when. I'm supposed to get edits back tomorrow, so I'm very nervous.
Exciting.
So we'll see what. Start from scratch, idiot. I don't know. That might be what it says. No idea.
I doubt it. I've read your work. It is good.
Trunk distance. I don't know. We'll see. Partial Function. I have no idea. I'm waiting on a cover and the thing. I'll be at Dragon Con over Labor Day weekend. If anyone's there, try to find me. We'll chill. I'll buy you a beer or something.
Where's that at?
Atlanta.
Okay, that's right.
Atlanta. I'm there from Thursday through Monday, and I'll have a credit card and I'll be at a bar. I'm sure for a significant period of the time.
Oh my God!
I have nothing planned. I'm just gonna hang out with anyone who shows up. Like that's my entire. I don't have like a single panel plan. Anyway, check me out at jcmburn.com, and my YouTube is at jcmburn, and Twitter It is Joe Burn 1.
Joe Burn 1. Burn 1.
Old Twitter handle. So
Well,
yeah.
yeah. Yep. I don't. I think I'm gonna be reading Hero of Ages in the last week of the month, so that's all I got going on. My book release is set for October 7th, so hopefully I can have the audiobook release on the same day. We'll see if ACX lets me do it, but
What book is this?
this is the direct sequel to More Than a Vampire. It's More Than a God War. So, people have been asking me for a little while how, when's the sequel coming out? So the sequel is coming out. It's all done. I just got to plug it into KDP and then wait for my narrators to let me know if they're going to make it in time. So we will see. But thank you all for showing up, and all of you people on the re-listen. Thank you so much. And remember, be more than human.